Hey biology, so today we start our notes over the membranes, and let's talk about the phospholipid membrane. So if we look at the composition and membranes, they are comprised of phospholipids and mostly proteins. So this really is a good segue with what we have been talking about in terms of talking about the structures of these macromolecules. And here we are talking about fats and proteins. Okay, if we look at the characteristics, okay, and characteristics of these phospholipids. Okay, first of all, they are fluid. So we want this membrane to be able to move, okay? And we'll talk about the structures that allow for that fluidity and those that allow for a more structured environment, okay? The membrane is going to be held together by hydrophobic interactions. And let's take a look at this word. So we have hydro meaning water, and then phobic is sphering. Okay, so because of that water being around them on both the internal and external environment, it will push them together. And we're going to see a structure built together or put together in just a second here. Okay, they are most of the proteins and lipids. They are going to drift laterally within the plane of that membrane. So they will move around and shift as we look at this model. Okay, unsaturated fats are going to help with that fluidity. And then we're going to see cholesterol that's going to be embedded within that membrane. And this also helps to regulate the fluidity of that membrane. So that's our word of today is fluidity, right? Now, if we look at the overall structure, the membrane is what we refer to as selectively permeable. Okay, so let's look at it. So permeable, something can go in and out. And then selectively, well, now some things can go in and out. Okay, so if we look at things like hydrogen or oxygen, we look at water, we look at carbon dioxide, these are going to pass very easily. Well, they're smaller. Okay, so now if we have some of the larger and polar ions, or something that, like me, what I mean is that they are going to have a charge, then they cannot cross. Okay, because if we look at, and we're going to talk about how they actually get through once we get to our diagram. Okay, so all ions and larger polar molecules cannot cross. There we go. So I think this is a good place because this just gives us a broad overview and introduction to the membrane and what we're going to be looking at. So in our next set of slides, we'll switch back over to good old PowerPoint. We'll take a look at some pictures and some diagrams, and we'll work through that. All right, so carry on with the notes and let me know if you have any questions.